Hello, this is Dikuti on NA's Weekly English News. Myanmar's army rejected allegation of human rights abuses during its crackdown on Rohingya Muslims last year, made by the United Nations in a report on the offensive that forced some 75,000 Rohingya to flee to neighboring Bangladesh. The crackdown in response to attacks by the Rohingya insurgents on border posts on October 9 poses the biggest challenge yet to the Myanmar's leader and Nobel Peace Prize winner Aung San Suu Kyi, who took power more than a year ago. Myanmar's security forces committed mass killings and gang rapes of Rohingya in a campaign that very likely amounted to the crimes against humanity and possibly ethnic cleansing. The Office of the High Commissioner of Human Rights, OHCHR, said in a report published in February. Out of 18 accusations of the Office of High Commissioner for Human Rights report, 12 were found to be incorrect, with the remaining 6 found to be false and fabricated based on the lies and invented statements, the state-run Global New Light of Myanmar newspaper said in an article that sums up the internal military inquiry. The United Nations Children's Agency, UNICEF, have revealed that as many as 150 children under 5 are dying each day in Myanmar, while 30% suffer from moderate and severe malnutrition. In a shock report, the agency says war, poverty and underdevelopment in the remote parts of Myanmar are preventing children from reaping the benefits of reforms since the country began opening to the world in 2010 after a half-century of military rule. For an estimated 2.2 million children, the promise of peace remains unfulfilled, leaving their hopes for a better future blighted by poverty, lack of opportunity and ever-present fear of violence, the UNICEF says in the full release report. The agency warns the Rohingya Muslim children in the Western Arakan state require urgent assistance, including access to medical, healthcare and education services and the lifting of religious and other restrictions. A Rohingya activist participated in Oslo International Freedom Forum to talk about the lost freedom of Rohingya Muslims in Arakan state of Myanmar and suffering from the persecution by the government. According to Wei Wei Nu, Myanmar's situation is the worst in Myanmar's history, citing Myanmar's repressive practices against Rohingya Muslims from murder, rape, arbitrary detention and forcible displacement. Myanmar is in a much worse situation after 2010 elections, where the Rohingya Muslim and a handful of other minorities from the first time in Myanmar's history have been prevented from voting or running for elections, said Nu, who heads a women's rights group in Myanmar. Nu stressed that the Muslims and the Christians face the hostility of Buddhist nationalist movement, which she described as very aggressive. Wei Wei Nu praised the role of Norway in Myanmar's transition from military dictatorship to democracy, but expressed disappointment at subsequent events of expulsion of Muslims and the failure to give them their rights. A fire destroyed 11 houses and 42 shops in Rohingya marketplace in Golardil, destroying almost all shops in the Arakan state capital of Sittwe. During this time, when the locals ran forward to douse the fire, they were barred by the police forces. When the fire started to spread to the Rakhine areas, firefighters came to the scene and made sure it did not touch those places. The fire came from the direction of a Rakhine settlement called Taishong. Locals say it was the first small fire which could have easily been put out if the police had let them. Later, it went to be very big and damaged millions of kade of Rohingya property and whipped out to the resources of many entrepreneurs. The nature of the police intervention have raised suspicions that this might be an arson attack. However, the government alleged Rohingya put fire on their own properties to attract international sympathy and placed blame on the Buddhist outfits. Following the incident like this, it is most often the victims that get charged by the police. Thousands of Buddhist monks, nuns and supporters of an ultra-nationalist Buddhist group gathered at an annual conference on the outskirts of Myanmar's biggest city on last Saturday despite being banned by the government. The state Sangha Mahanayaka, the country's highest Buddhist institution, officially banned Mabata for motivating riots largely targeting Myanmar's Muslim minority. The group was ordered to stop its activities and to take down its signboards nationwide by July 15. According to their term, our group is called an unlawful association. But we want you to know that our group will not be abolished, a senior monk from the group told the audience at the conference. Mabata and its high-profile leading monk Wirathu have been accused of summoning anti-Islamic preaching and stirring up mob violence in Buddhist-majority Myanmar, causing deaths of Muslims and destruction of their property. Most of the victims are the Rohingya Muslim minority in Arakan state. We just wanted to save our people, but maybe many people just want to die like dogs and pigs in the hands of the enemy, the monks added. The cyclone destroyed almost 11,000 huts in Balukhali and Kutub Palang camps. Thousands of houses in the Rohingya refugee camps have been damaged as a severe cyclonic storm battered Bangladesh coastal areas. Bangladesh evacuated at least 350,000 people, about 200,000 from Cox's Bazar and some 150,000 from Chittagong before Cyclone Mora made landfall on Tuesday morning with heavy rains and winds up to 117 km per hour. Refugee camp in Cox's Bazar provides shelter for an estimated 200,000 Rohingyas who fled Myanmar to escape prosecution. Shamsul Alam, a Rohingya community leader, said almost all the 10,000 huts in Balukhali and Kutub Palang camp have been destroyed in their storm. Most of the temporary houses in the camp have been flattened, he told Reuters. Umar Farooq, a community leader in Kutub Palang camp, said conditions were dire. Now we are in open air. An estimated 75,000 Muslim Rohingyas are believed to have fled to Bangladesh since Burmese army launched an operation in response to insurgent attacks in last October. European Rohingya councils urged the concerned governmental and non-governmental agencies to mobilize humanitarian aid to the people affected in the cyclone. Cyclone Mora made landfall in Cox's Bazar districts of Bangladesh and Arakan state of Myanmar, causing significant damage to tens of thousands of Rohingya and other communities. Around 10,000 houses in the Rohingya refugee camps have been damaged by the storm. In some places, almost every shanty home made of tin, bamboo and plastic have been flattened. Abdus Salam, a Rohingya refugee, told AFP News. The Bangladeshi authorities have made no attempts to evacuate or provide shelters to the hundreds of thousands of Rohingya refugees living in low-lying districts of Cox's Bazar. It is reported that a number of Rohingya refugees have been injured from the falling trees and flying tin roof and bamboo. Urgent humanitarian assistance is needed for tens of thousands of Rohingya refugees in Bangladesh and Rohingya IDP camps in ghettos across Arakan state. The European Rohingya Council urges the government of Bangladesh and Myanmar to allow and provide humanitarian assistance to Rohingya and other communities in the cyclone affected areas. And we also call upon the United Nations Office for Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs, international and local communities to facilitate the relief for the affected Rohingya people. Thank you for watching this Chef Siddiq. Hope to see you very soon with more news.